Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I just got off the treadmill. I decided I was going to start trying to up my exercise game, and so I just got a session in. This first piece of information is from WebSurfer at WebSurfology. Dubai developer Emaar Group, the world's largest property company outside of China, has announced plans to offer blockchain tokens for customers and partners. The Emaar Community Token will allow users to access a referral and loyalty system across the entire company. Says the token will be transferable across the entire global Emaar ecosystem of close to $10 billion, including real estate, malls, hospitality, entertainment, facilities management, and online shopping. Looks like a few more walled gardens that XRP can connect to me. Okay, next. This is from Sergeant Obi-Wan. This is Crypto Whale Whisperer's Bitcoin prediction goes viral as BTC, Ethereum, and XRP bulls fight to break through. And what he's referring to is he's retweeting or he's tweeting out this article. This is apparently a popular analyst on a Bitcoin guy. It says, first it says, the prediction marks a long-awaited return of the analyst whose last tweet was in November of last year. Despite his optimism, Angelo BTC warns that crypto trading is as risky as it gets. But here was his tweet. Bag holding Bitcoin and never been more bullish. I refuse to let the bankers steal my Bitcoin. And then down here, he says, cryptocurrency as an asset class is minuscule, a drop in the bucket. A 1 trillion plus market cap would still be undervalued for crypto to have any meaningful impact as a store of value currency. The end goal for Bitcoin as an investment is a binary outcome. It goes to 0 or 10 times your investment. There is no in between. Well, I'll take that a little further and say this. For Bitcoin, it may be a store of value since there is no other use for Bitcoin really as compared to like an XRP. But for other digital assets, like Brad Garlinghouse has always said, this is about utility. If you don't have any utility, you'll go to 0 eventually. And in the case of Bitcoin, they've decided they want it to be considered a store of value. If people decide that Bitcoin is going to be a store of value like gold, then that will be its use case. It'll be its one and only use case because technologically it can't really be anything other than that. And that's the dirty little secret. But as I'll show you in a minute, as I told you, I own 1 Bitcoin, may get a little bit more, and I'll show you a good illustration of the why of that here in a minute. This is from Neptune XRP. At John FUL 449-68436. Interesting comment from Bob Way, ex-Ripple employee, about the ability to raise the XRP price. It is possible and patented. Okay, I touched on this yesterday, but I didn't read you part of it. And there's a little bit more to this that I wanted to show you. Here's what this is about. And I'm going to read part of this. He says, except one day, a while back, Stefan, who's the guy that runs Coil now, proposed a concept in which it might. I was quite reticent to believe it. What he's saying is that XRP might go up. Well, actually, let me read this first part. It's conventional wisdom that the one thing you can't do by giving away an asset like XRP is make its price go up. And then, except one day, a while back, Stefan proposed a concept in which it might. I was quite reticent to believe it. It seemed intuitively impossible, much like you are thinking now. So I sat down to analyze it and analyze it and analyze it. And in the end, I concluded his exact proposal was wrong. It was likely to put downward pressure on the prices of XRP. But Stefan wasn't very wrong. In fact, using his proposal as a starting place, I tweaked the parameters and intermediate goals and came up with a mechanism that I'm completely convinced will work. It leads to a net upward pressure on the price of XRP, ... And Ripple and I received a patent for it. Now that's big, folks. So what I want to refer you to now is something that Galgatron said. Now, there's a lot of people in the XRP community that are much more into the technical side of things than I am. I'm into the bigger picture and the financial picture and the financial landscape overall. That's kind of more the angle and where I'm coming from. But some of these guys are really good with the technical parts of XRP and all of this. And so I always kind of default to them. Galgatron's one of them, very smart guy. He says Bob is presumably referring to these patents, and they reference connectors with resource pools. My wild guess is his concept involves connectors being incentivized to stockpile pool XRP, creating organic demand, aka utility. And his link takes you to the XRP chat page right here. And for those that want to go look at it, go to page 24 of the thread that I'll call the Bob Way thread. And they actually have links to the patent applications and the patent on here. And so that for those of you that want to get in, that becomes pretty boring for me. I don't get into all that kind of thing. I like the overall point that's being made here. I like where this is going, but I don't get that deep into some of these things because I'll fall asleep. And in fact, I think he says something about how it's kind of boring. Yeah, he says they're extremely boring. Okay, next I want to show you this. This is from CNBC Crypto Trader, Rand Nooner. He's got the CNBC Crypto Show. I went through this video and I want to draw your attention to a couple of interesting pieces in here. He says Swift talks about XRP. This is from the Hong Kong Blockchain Week. Okay, so I want to draw your attention to a couple of times in this video that are worth watching. The first one is at the 6:15 mark. He talks to Luke Wagman from CoinMarketCap, and he throws out some of the unbelievable numbers as far as the traffic that CoinMarketCap gets. It's interesting and it's something worthy of you watching. I know we've had a problem with CoinMarketCap. I have, and a lot of you have, and I still do. I'm not going to be using them anymore, but you still, just to know what's going on in the markets, you still need to go watch this at the 6:15 market. Then at the 15-minute mark, he has, I believe it's an executive from Swift, and he specifically asks her how she sees XRP competing, if she sees XRP competing with Swift. She completely avoids the question, and her response was basically, look at the numbers amounts of money that we're moving through with the Swift GPI, and then she basically says the numbers speak for themselves. In other words, because they've been around forever, and so right now they show tremendous numbers versus Ripple, which is a newer company, and XRP, which is a new thing too. And so she's basically saying, since we have these big numbers, and I'm sure Blockbuster said the same thing when somebody asked them about Netflix back in the day. That's what it reminded me of. Okay, also at the 27:50 mark, he's talking to two guys that are from crypto hedge funds, and he asks them at some point to pick what if he gave them $1 million hypothetically, what the 5 investments they would make, like 5 digital assets. And the managing partner from Blackwater Capital, one of his picks was XRP. He said he expects big things for XRP, and I thought that was interesting. Next, this is from XRP Research Center at XRP Center. He says Binance's official crypto wallet, Trust Wallet app, is about to offer support for XRP, currently in beta. Since Binance acquired Trust Wallet, it has been in control of the wallet's software development direction, said the CEO. So that's just one more example, further adoption. Here we go. Okay, now from Tom T XRP at Tom T _XRP. Great news. We've enabled the XRP Telegram tip bot to the XRP community Telegram channel. Join us now for all the latest Ripple news, info, and TA. shout out to, and give some shout outs here, but his link takes you to the Telegram. This is the Telegram community, XRP community. I am not a member of this just because Telegram is something I haven't really spent a lot of time trying to figure out. I've got my hands full between videos and Twitter and dealing with my sons and baseball season. I have about all on my plate that I can. So maybe one day I'll go in there and figure this community out, but you should if you have time. Go check it out, and they've got the tip bot set up in there apparently now. Finally, I want to show you this. I told you I would tell you really the basic reason that I own Bitcoin. The reason that I own Bitcoin and will probably accumulate, I've got over 1 Bitcoin now, but my plan is to try to accumulate maybe between 1 and 5 or so if I can. And I'm not going and spending my savings on Bitcoin. But as I have a few dollars here, a few dollars there, as long as the market's down, I'll add to the stack. The reason I'm doing it, there's a couple of reasons. First one is that Bitcoin is the first one through the door, and it's very obvious that Wall Street and all the big money that's coming in have decided that they're going to adopt Bitcoin as one of their things. Bitcoin and Ethereum seems to be there too. But because of that fact, because of those facts, and that is a fact, I mean, it's very clear that Bitcoin is going to be the first on most of these things. And the fact that there's a limited supply, 21 million. I do not want to look up 5 years from now and be the guy who was there when all this was going on and didn't get just 1 Bitcoin. Because you got 21 million, about 5 or so million is the estimate of what has been lost because people have lost their private keys since Bitcoin came out. And now look at this sheet, and this tells you all you need to know. I believe there will be a day, it's probably sooner rather than later, where people won't be able to get a Bitcoin. To have a Bitcoin will put you in an elite group. And this is just one illustration of it. This is from this guy. I don't know who he is, but I just saw this tweet and thought it made a pretty good point. There are 10 cities in the world where if each person wanted a full Bitcoin, they could never have one. Tokyo, Delhi, Shanghai, Sao Paulo, Mumbai, Mexico City, Beijing, Osaka, Cairo, New York. At this point, owning no Bitcoin is a risk. And I agree with this philosophy here. I believe that there will be a day when those that own 1 Bitcoin are in an elite group. And I plan to own at least 1 Bitcoin for a long time to come. And I think that you should too. I mean, I think everybody should have at least 1 Bitcoin. Just to have that 1 Bitcoin with what all's coming. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that even Brad Garlinghouse has at least 1 Bitcoin. He's said that he's bullish on Bitcoin before. I'm pretty sure he said he owned Bitcoin. So Brad Garlinghouse, if it's good enough for Brad Garlinghouse, it's good enough for the digital asset investor. Thank you for listening.